The internet is a beautiful place. Anyone can share a story in an instant. Creepypasta has been around for a long time too, although the term was coined around 2007. Since people have been able to post user-generated stories, paranormal ones have existed. Often focusing on cursed video games or supernatural creatures, these short and spooky stories have fascinated folks for over a decade now. Entire sites have been dedicated to the craft of creepypasta, with all sorts of writers trying their hand at scaring the daylights out of folks. Of course, this means that tales both terrific and terrible are put forth, with the latter being more common. But when you find a good story, oh boy is it a treat. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be counting down the top 5 scary creepypastas you need to read. Today we'll be addressing some classics, and if it does well, maybe we'll delve into some deeper cuts. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more written wickedness. Perfect. Let's begin. Clomping its way into number 5, we've got the Goatman. An example of the ever-present green text creepypasta, this story of a young lad encountering a terrible creature was originally posted on paranormal image board X. The year was 2012, and X user Nancy decided it was time to recount the horrifying experience. Other folks encouraged him to keep telling the story, and it was posted in pieces over a length of time. As more was revealed, other board users either believed him or tried to disprove his tale. Whether it's real or fake, this is a well-written tale of terror. When Nancy was a teenager, he would visit his cousins in Alabama. Being from the city, he would spend a lot of time in the woods during these trips, as it was something he didn't really get a chance to do too often. A group of cousins and friends headed out into the woods to do what teenagers do and ended up regretting ever leaving the safety of town. The story Nancy tells is one of paranoia and unease, as many unexplainable things happen. When you're in a new situation with new people, it's easy to get confused and lose track of things. Mix in the ever-present smell of blood and a gibbering lunatic running through the woods, and you've got yourself a recipe for a nightmare like no other. As the teens try to figure out exactly what's happening, new faces seem to come and go. Friends look for help and come back with new people, while others seem to disappear without a trace. The beauty of the Goatman is that it really could happen to anyone, and everyone involved seems to be relatively sane and reasonable. The details paint a picture of apprehension, with the core members of the group figuring out that something isn't right, often too late. Fluctuating group counts, ungodly noises, you name it. The Goatman is a classic example of creepypasta done right. Coming in at number 4, we got the Expressionless. Speaking of classic, the Expressionless drives home all sorts of creepypasta staples. Gory descriptions, a supernatural entity, people just trying to live their lives, an open ending. If there was a ready-made checklist for creepypasta, this would tick most, if not all, of the boxes. Written by TJ Lee, it rapidly gained notoriety thanks to disturbing imagery and creepy accompanying photo. Look into the eyes of that thing and tell me you wouldn't collapse at the sight of it. And while the picture itself is creepy, the story behind it takes it to another level. The Expressionless is the tale of a strange woman wandering into a hospital. She's covered in blood, which isn't too out of place for such a facility, but the kitten clamped between her jaws, that is. All this and the fact that she looks exactly like a mannequin makes it even more disquieting. Her face, devoid of any humanity, is where the name Expressionless comes from. Hospital staff were able to get her into a bed and put restraints on her, but as soon as they attempted to administer some sedatives, things went sideways. Fast. The story isn't too long, so I'll refrain from recounting too much more of it. But what I will say is that it is a vile and blood-filled story with an ending that many have attempted to emulate. If you're in the mood for a quick, largely disturbing read, look no further. Slinking in at number 3, we've got the Russian sleep experiment. If you're a creepypasta aficionado, it's hard to ignore the widespread influence of the Russian sleep experiment. It's equal parts believable and far-fetched, with plenty of undeniably haunting ideas. In fact, it's presented in such a way that a great deal of people believe that it was real. Some still probably do, if we're being honest. It's that well done. Following the events at the end of World War II, 5 prisoners are taken to a secret location and experimented upon. The subjects are to remain awake for 30 days in a chamber full of experimental gas. What the purpose of the gas is hard to say. Of course, being isolated from the rest of the world and being forced to stay awake for extended periods of time leads to some insanity brewing. And boy, is it a strong brew. Like, literally, these subjects steep in their own filth and madness for the duration of their stay. It gets filthy. A lot of precautionary measures were taken to avoid a situation where things got too bad, and, well, they didn't work. It gets weird and messy and dark and gross almost immediately, and when you think the story's peaked, it goes further. People are torn asunder, drains are clogged with viscera, sleep is avoided, madness is abound, and again, the ending of this one is iconic, with sweeping statements made about humanity. It's been emulated time and time again, but there's a reason people keep coming back to the Russian sleep experiment. I, for one, lost some sleep over it, which is worrisome. I don't want to end up like those guys. But at least I'm not trapped in a chamber of experimental gas. Well, Actually, I guess only the lack of gas is true these days. Check this one out if you've ever been scared by the prospect of being a human lab rat. Coming in at number 2, we've got Ben Drowned. Bridging the gap between classic creepypasta and ARG, Ben Drowned is a phenomenon. There's nothing out there quite like it, and believe me, people have tried to make their own glitchy video game wickedness. Sure, there's enough stuff that people have made for the sole purpose of usurping the interactive creepypasta throne, but the fact that Ben Drowned uses an instantly recognizable video game to tell its story makes it so much more relatable and therefore immediately scary. This could have happened to you if you grabbed a copy of this game. Every time someone boots up Majora's Mask these days, there's a chance you'll have flashbacks to Jadu Sable's story. You've met with a horrible fate, haven't you? Ben Drowned ties together all sorts of different online anxieties. There's the storytelling part, where the author tries to sum up what's been happening in a pretty traditional way. But then clips of a horrifically glitched out Majora's Mask cart are introduced, adding some new media to the mix. Majora's Mask is creepy enough without all the extra storytelling. Like, I can recall being scared absolutely silly by the mask salesman the first time I played this game when I was a kid. That face, that laugh, those masks, jeez. And don't get me started on the moon. God. And then we've got the whole story through the eyes of the onlooking roommate who does their best to add some sanity to the story. All of this is made even more confusing and rewarding though when you realize it's an ARG with interactive elements. The game clips are full of hints. The channel they're uploading to is hiding something. Journal entries and cleverbot conversations aren't exactly what they seem to be. Ben is watching. Who is Ben? Well, you better head over and read the whole thing if you want to find out. And finally, at number 1, we've got Candle Cove. I love the concept behind this one. Apparently it was inspired by an article by The Onion, where a man is still haunted by nightmares regarding a show from his childhood. In Candle Cove, there's nothing inherently dangerous about the monster, so to speak, but the way it's revealed leaves readers feeling super uncomfortable. It's kind of like being gaslit, with nothing seeming real afterwards. Written by Chris Straub in 2009, this forum post-style story has a bunch of perfect strangers discussing a program they recall from their youth. Apparently everyone had forgotten about it until recently, and had the sudden urge to seek out other viewers to reminisce. The show was about a little girl named Janice who befriends some pirate puppets. It seems like a pretty innocent thing to watch at first, but the more the group thinks about it, the weirder their recollections become. What had once been thought of a slightly creepy kids show becomes disturbing and fast. On-screen action becomes gruesome and violent, and the subject matter of the stories becomes less and less coherent. There's even one episode where all the puppets do is scream. Everyone discussing the show remembers just taking it at face value though. As kids, they didn't think it was that weird. It might have disturbed them, yeah, but what's a kid gonna do about it? As more people look into the history of the show, it becomes apparent that something isn't quite right. And like most good creepypasta, there is a wicked twist. This is one of the online user-generated stories that was actually adapted for the TV show Channel Zero. And as always, I would highly recommend checking that out if you haven't already. It plays on the fears we repressed from childhood and the idea that something sinister can be happening without us even noticing. Oh, and puppets are creepy. That's pretty universal. 5 doesn't seem like enough when talking about creepypasta, eh? There are so many more out there, we could go on and on forever. What are some of your favorite scary online stories? Have you read all 5 on today's list? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more opalescent ones from top 5 scary websites you should never visit. Proven009 asks, if we're living in a simulation, can I make a new character? I don't like this one. Apparently the only way to do that is to max out a religion skill tree that has the reincarnation skill and then play it through until you get the true ending. At that point, you'll see a tunnel of light cutscene and the game will start over with a new game plus. Good luck. Evie Hammond asks, when will people learn that the more you tell someone they can't or shouldn't do something, the more they want to do it? Well, maybe we've already figured that out and we're using reverse psychology on you. Or maybe we're just clueless. Who knows? Miss Thomas says, I haven't heard about Angel Fire in 20 plus years. I didn't even know it was still around. Right? There are some odds and ends that got archived, somehow surviving the shift to Web 2.0, but I really wish we still had GeoCities, huh? Mr. Anonymous Emats says, go to Dark Web. We've actually got another video on the Dark Web somewhere on our channel, so check it out if you're so inclined. And Darkside780 says, who isn't claustrophobic? Well, cavers, apparently. I seriously don't know how they do it. I actually got stuck underground once at a surface level cave. I was going through like a one-way passage and then I couldn't find my way back and it was not a good scene. Won't do it again. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I play hopscotch on the cracked tiles and sky pillar, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more ghastly tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.